The Flatwoods Monster is one of the most elusive and mysterious creatures you can find, or really not find, in Fallout 76. Many people report even after hundreds upon hundreds of hours in-game, they only encounter it once or twice, if even that much. In this video, we're going to be looking through the deep mystery behind the Flatwoods Monster. A lot of things about the creature you probably didn't even know, but then also some of the deeper lore around aliens in Fallout 76, which may suggest a future alien DLC of some kind. If you guys do enjoy these more lore-styled videos, you can leave a like or subscribe. You guys actually voted for this video, although it was a couple of days ago now. But either way, first things first, let's actually look at the Flatwoods Monster himself, as he does appear in-game. In Fallout 76, the Flatwoods Monster is classified as a cryptid, similar to many other cryptids that we do see, like Mothman and the Grafton Monster. Although, unlike those other ones, this one is particularly rare. You could only find the Flatwoods Monster via a random encounter. There are a variety of random encounter spots all throughout Appalachia, but the interesting part about the Flatwoods Monster is there's no guaranteed way to find him. Even in preparation for this video, I spent a pretty long time just server hopping over and over again trying to find this creature, and it's really rare. It seems as if he actually spawns all throughout Appalachia. Some people find him in the forest region right around Vault 76, other people on the further end of the map in one of the deep dark corners of the mire. Although as you do encounter him, you can definitely tell he's an alien of some sort, definitely unlike anything else you could find in game. Even further, he does have several abilities, some of which you probably didn't know about. When you first encounter a Flatwoods Monster, you probably won't even realize it's there, as many of the times they actually are cloaking or invisible. From there, one of two things will happen. Typically, either the Flatwoods Monster will engage you and start attacking you, or other times it might just disappear, and that's it. That was the entire encounter. If it does engage you, it does have several abilities, a standard laser attack that does have a purple glow to it. It also can cloak or teleport around you during the combat itself. Typically during that teleportation, a pink mist does pop up. And then finally, one of the abilities a lot of people probably didn't know about, it actually does have a mind control ability. The Flatwoods Monster can possess other creatures and actually make them fight on his side. Even beyond this, it also reportedly works on turrets also. Again, that's kind of a weird or unique use case, so there's only a few reports of it. But yeah, that kind of summarizes or characterizes what an encounter with the Flatwoods Monster is like. It's pretty clear Bethesda gave a lot of attention and detail to this creature, and the encounters typically are pretty fascinating when it actually fights back. Outside of that, as far as the origins of the Flatwoods Monster, it seems like it was around before the Great War. It's not a byproduct of radiation, but rather some kind of alien species, seemingly from a different planet. Aliens are nothing new in the Fallout franchise. Of course, you did have the crashed spaceship in Fallout 4, but even further, you'd actually had, through Creation Club, an alien appearance also that way. And of course, one of the most notable appearances of the aliens was all the way back for Fallout 3's Mothership Zeta DLC, which almost entirely takes place on an alien ship. Aliens in the Fallout franchise look like this, and they're known as Zetans. But taking that and then also comparing it to the Flatwoods Monster, there's a pretty distinctive difference. So what's going on here? Well, after users have successfully taken down the Flatwoods Monster in Fallout 4 and taken a closer look, you actually do get a pretty interesting story. Looking at the Flatwoods Monster body, it becomes almost immediately obvious that in reality it is one of those traditional Zetans, but actually in a larger suit. You can see through the mask the head is almost identical, and you can see the little feet at the bottom, indicating that it's roughly the same height also. This is interesting for several reasons. One, why are there Zetans in this special suit? They seemingly can survive without a suit, so it does raise the question, why is this one choosing to use one? But even further, the aliens must have some pretty advanced technology. Teleportation, mind control, and even invisibility are all basically superhero powers, and it looks like the aliens actually have access to them. The Flatwoods Monster, of course, like many of the other cryptids in Fallout 76, is based off of a apparent real-world creature. Some of the original sightings of this were reported outside of Flatwoods, people saying they saw a UFO of some kind, and later the Flatwoods Monster appeared. This has become such a major thing around Flatwoods that even the town sign, which is totally recreated in Fallout 76, does have mention of the monster himself. In the real-life folklore, he is more of a greenish color compared to the purple we see in-game, although the in-game sign still reports that green color. In-game, there's actually several mentions and entries around the Flatwoods Monster and the greater alien race. In an abandoned shack in the mire, there was a researcher there doing investigations into all of the cryptids and does actually have journal entries around the Flatwoods Monster. She describes many reports of bright lights accompanied with some kind of burning smell that does dissipate. These are definitely a nod to the real-life reports of the Flatwoods Monster by which they mirror, but also seems to confirm mostly in-game that the Flatwoods Monster originates from an alien ship, probably pretty similar to this one. Although where things get particularly interesting around the lore and backstory of the Flatwoods Monster is in the series of holotapes known as Who Goes There. Before the Great War started, in Appalachia, there was a series of holotapes and magazines known as Tales from the West Virginian Hills. In this, they interview people that report real-life interactions with mystical creatures, and then act out and retell their stories. One such one does apply to the Flatwoods Monster and larger aliens in Appalachia. You can find both part 1 and 2 of these holotapes in Flatwoods. They tell a story of a young boy who was on a camping trip and saw bright lights in the sky, pretty similar to all of the other reports of bright lights around the Flatwoods Monster. Following that, he went looking for whatever that was and ended up falling into a hole where he met another young girl known as Sally, who saw the same thing.
Where am I? Jack? Viv? Mr. Bailey? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Who's there? I can't see you.
Me. My name's Sally. What's yours?
Fred.
Reportedly, both Sally and the boy did have some kind of alien ship encounter, being brought up by the beam that was there.
Suddenly, there was this bright light shining down on me. I was super scared and ran to the mine to hide, but everything felt strange. Like, my feet weren't even touching the ground. Everything went black and I woke up here in the dark.
That all happened to me too.
Sally insists that they must wait there for their friends to return, that being the aliens. In the end, when the boy tries to leave, it ends up taking a rather odd twist and something seemingly pretty weird happens to Sally's head.
We have to get out of here.
No. Stay put. Stay put. Stay put. Stay put.
Okay, stop screaming. Ah, the light. It's so bright.
That's where they come in to bring food or when it's time to play.
Sally, what's that helmet thing you're wearing? It looks like it's screwed into your head.
Time to play. Time to play.
Sally,
Time
what's wrong?
to
Why are you acting like that?
Time to play.
I see them now.
Time to
They aren't human at all.
time to
No, stop! Let me go! Sally, help me! I don't want to play! I don't want to play any games! No!
But again, that was all a recreation or a retelling of this original story. Reportedly, it is true, as the boy later was found confused and dazed around the area, but did end up surviving the situation, and this is his story, if you take it to be true and not fictional. I tried going through some of the in-game locations that this could have taken place. He reports camping out near a big river, and I likely found that right outside of New Gad, then working his way to a mine, which is likely in reference to the burning mine, but at neither of those locations did I find anything interesting or alien related. But actually listening to the holotapes again, something interesting does stand out. That with the character of Sally. She's never seen again, seemingly taken by the aliens. If you guys do recall, Fallout 76 takes place in West Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., the location of Fallout 3. In Fallout 3, there was another notable Sally character, and you actually meet her on board the ship during the Mothership Zeta DLC, as in that she was also abducted by aliens. Are these two the same Sally? Naturally, these two locations are quite close as far as proximity goes, so it is certainly plausible that Sally could be from this general area or even dropped off here by the alien ship. Although something that does seem to disconfirm this, these holotapes were produced before the Great War, while the Sally you actually see on the ship in Mothership Zeta reports being abducted after the Great War. And even though that would pretty much rule this out, at the same time, it seems like one really big coincidence. Sally doesn't give exact dates as to when she was abducted, but she seems to describe that it was right after the bombs dropped, so she's been on this ship at the time you're on it for roughly 200 years. This wouldn't be the first time Bethesda retconned something, and it honestly wouldn't even be that big of a retcon. So is this just one really big coincidence, or are these two Sallies the same? I don't have a direct answer, but something else pretty interesting. It seems almost certain that the developers of Fallout 76 would have paid attention to Mothership Zeta, as it's actually one of the places we also hear of Vault 76. In fact, pretty much the first time we ever hear of Vault 76. One of the individuals that was aboard the Mothership Zeta ship that you can hear audio from was actually the one tasked with overseeing the construction of Vault 76. And taking that all together, it's a lot of coincidences for them to not be related. But even outside of that, just as far as aliens in general go in Fallout 76, there is more to them. And it certainly seems like it could be one of those areas Bethesda expands on with future DLC, and I actually would say that's pretty likely. All around the world space, you could find little drawings or etchings of people that seem to believe or have encountered aliens. Some of this just outside of Berkeley Springs, another one just outside of Vault 76 that seems to be some kind of statue to aliens. But even beyond that, we do have the mystery of the alien blaster and TNT Dome 2. The alien blaster in Fallout 76 is found in a broken open safe in a totally destroyed house just southeast of Graniger Farm. And next to it, you could find a rusty key that will be relevant later. Even though in the first playthrough, you might just kind of brush this up as nothing, that is actually kind of a big deal. There was some dude who was holding alien technology in a safe. This seems to confirm extensive alien contact before the Great War, assuming nobody placed this there after, which I have to presume they didn't. Taking that key, it allows you to get into a special room at Freddy Fear's House of Scares. In that room, you're going to find a note just labeled LS, saying they're onto us. I was fired, I'm leaving town tonight, stay safe. In that room, you could find a bunch of alien-esque stuff. It seems like there certainly were people wearing tinfoil hats in here. But even beyond that, you could find a stolen terminal password. With this, we could actually go to the Shadow Breeze apartments. From there, you could actually enter into Trevor Mormon's apartment and access his personal terminal. On one of these entries, we discover that LS is actually now Lena Stark, and she had been terminated as Mr. Mormon's housekeeper. And you find a follow-up message that's fairly cryptic, talking about some kind of secret work, and they're having to move to a different location because people are taking interest in it. From there, you do go to the Pleasant Valley cabins, where you'll find a letter from Trevor actually describing how there's a new artifact found and he's going to investigate it, and this all ultimately seems to end with TNT Dome 2. After gaining access to this, you can find they were seemingly investigating aliens, and there may actually be an alien in this enclosure. In there, you could actually find some alien blaster cells, as well as a modification for the alien blaster. From a different terminal, you can discover that this was actually being rented for 2 years by Trevor. But then as far as the finding of the alien blaster, it seems like Lena Stark actually stole this from Trevor and was working with somebody else to do something with this new technology. Although something pretty interesting to go along with this, even though you can do this more convoluted process of getting access to TNT Dome 2, you also can just find the key in a locker at the Mount Blair train yard. I'm not really sure how that key connects into all of the rest of this, but it certainly seems relevant as this was a pretty exclusive place. Either way, taking that all together, it seems like there's certainly more to the aliens here. People had found alien technology and were experimenting on it, enough to actually create modifications for it, and may have in fact actually captured aliens of their own. As far as I can tell, that's where the trail goes cold. There's not really any more clues or details that you can uncover. We do have the mysterious crashed space station that does have that mysterious door at the back. As of right now, there's no indication that it'll be used for future content, but taking everything I talked about in this video together, it seems likely, right? Between the mystery of what actually is the Flatwoods Monster and why it's different than the other Zetans, and even beyond that, the fact that people had successfully captured these and were running experiments on them, you just have to hope, or at least imagine, something more is coming. Either way, for right now though, that is all we know, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'd love to do more Fallout lore related videos like this, or exploring some of the mysteries of Fallout 76 in the future, so if you want to see that kind of content, you can leave a comment down below or just subscribe. But without further ado, I thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.